Alright guys, so today we are going to talk a little bit and teach you how to incubate duck eggs. It's very similar to chicken eggs. Yeah, so this is just a real cheap incubator that we borrowed from a friend. Honestly, it's not the best one, but it works, and until we can afford to get a better one and a bigger one, it does its job for the most part. So once you get your fertile duck eggs, if you want to store them for a couple days before putting them in, you can. But you want to make sure you store them in a temperature of about 55 degrees or so. And you want to be sure to rotate them from side to side several times a day. So once you're ready to put your eggs in the incubator, you want to run your incubator for at least 24 hours prior to putting the eggs in. And you want to make sure the temperature is steady at about 99.5 degrees and that the humidity is between 45 and 55%. You want to check your model. If you have instructions with your own, follow those instructions. You want to allow your eggs to come to room temperature, and then you want to make a mark on one side with a pencil to use as a guide when turning the eggs. And you also want to place your eggs pointy side down. If you have a tray in here and have an automatic turner, you really don't have to mark your eggs. You can kind of just skip that part. But yeah, so we have our eggs in here. This is actually like the 7th day we've had them in here. Alright, so yeah, like I said before, you want the temperature between 99.3 and 99.6, and it's going to stay at that temperature for 28 days. And the humidity should be between 45 and 55 for the first 25 days. And then you want to increase that to 65% for the last 3 days. You want to turn your eggs around 5 times a day. Honestly, we probably only do like 3 times a day. You want to turn them at a 180 degree side to side each time, so the egg spends every other night on the opposite side. And about 5 days into incubation, you should be able to see some veining and development when you candle your eggs. So if there's any eggs not showing development by day 10, you can usually safely remove them because they're most likely infertile or otherwise not going to hatch. When you get to the last 3 days, there's no need to turn your eggs. Alright, so I'm going to keep it shut for the rest of this just because I don't want them to get cold. But yeah, hopefully if all goes well, you begin to see some holes appear in the eggshells, and the ducklings will then make its way out of the shell, and eventually a baby duckling will emerge out of the shell. The whole process can take up to like 48 hours or longer, so you really want to resist the urge to help them. They're better off just doing it themselves. You just need to give them time. And then you want to leave the ducklings in the incubator until they are rested and nice and fluffy and dry. You don't want to take them out before they're dry. You want to make sure they're not wet anymore and nice and fluffy. They don't need to eat or drink for the first couple days. They can survive on the nutrients in the egg yolk they absorb before they hatch. And then once the ducklings are all nice and dried off, you can just move them to their heated brooder with food and water. So yeah, like I said, we're on about day 7 here. We're going to show you their progress, what the veining looks like, and once they get further into their incubation, we'll post more videos on that too, so you can see their whole progression until they're hatched out, and then we'll move them into their brooder house.
Alright, so this one here, I don't know if you can see a little heart beating away. Might be a little hard to see. But yeah, this is about 7 or 8 days in the incubator. You should see progression like this. And then you definitely want to candle your eggs. I didn't candle them before I put them in, and this is a bad egg, as you can see. So this one had a small crack in it before I put it in the incubator, and it got bacteria in that crack, which will make the egg go bad. So again, it's definitely good to candle your eggs to look for any cracks. Otherwise, if you if you don't, you could have, a crack. You'll get bacteria in the egg, which will lead to a bad egg. And I'll show you another egg. I think this egg, I don't believe is fertile. It doesn't show any progression there. There's always gonna be a small number of eggs. This egg is fertile. You're not always gonna have 100% fertility rate. They're usually about 80% is common. Our fertility rate is about 95 to 100, which is pretty good. I think that's because our ducks are free range and they can go down in the water. So yeah, we will continue to show a couple videos, maybe once a week. This one, oh, there it is. Maybe once a week we will show a video of the eggs, just so you can see how far they go, how far they get in a week, how big they grow, and yeah, it's definitely pretty neat. So yeah, if you have any questions on incubating eggs or anything, just shoot us a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's it for now.